There's a very funny Britny Fox story you might enjoy. John Mrvos was an A&R guy at Columbia Records, and he signed this. I did this album that nobody's heard of called No Shame, a girl band that I put together to be a female Poison, and it didn't do well, and probably deservedly not. But anyway, I had 3 albums in the top 100: Poison, Faster Pussycat, and Joan Jett. And so he came in to me and he said, "I've got this band, Britny Fox, and he said, I want you to work with them." I was like, "I don't like them. I can't stand the way this guy just screams dizzy all the time." And so I took him into this rehearsal studio, and I fired I think it was a drummer. I fired one of them. It was just like not very good. I said, "You got to get rid of this guy, and you got to stop this guy from screaming everything, but I'm not going to do the album." And he was like begging me to do the album. And I was like, "No, I won't do it." And then the album did really well. And it was like, "Well, congratulations, John, but I would have quit. There was no way I was going in the studio with those guys." I didn't like their music. I just thought it was derivative.
It was very much like when I first heard it, it was like Cinderella. They were just copying Cinderella's formula.
Well, he didn't have Tom Kiefer's talent. I mean, Tom Kiefer could sing his ass off. I think Tom Kiefer's still pretty good.
Oh, man,
the
super.
Stuff he does now is actually more interesting than what he did then. But,
exactly.
And then they were wearing Poison's old clothes at the time. It was just sort of clown show as far as I was concerned. But yeah, I was brought in and I was like, "John, I'll arrange some songs for them or something like that, but I'm not doing an album." He was like asking me to do it. But it's kind of funny.
Well, would you be willing to torture yourself another time and let me grill you some more on some of the other albums?
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, I don't want to talk about Poison. I really don't.
No. I got that. We got all that. But again, I do like an inside the album thing. So, like, nobody's ever worked with Victory. Joan Jett would be incredible, and Dogs D'Amour. I told you that as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Dogs D'Amour any day. Jones, a few minutes, but not really that interesting. Probably just because she's me on the money that her manager did. Sniffed both me and Desmond Child. But I mean, I've never listened to Joan Jett, to tell you the truth, after I did it. Joan, I was just brought in to basically be a songwriter at first because they were having a lot of trouble, but they couldn't get their tracks right. And Kenny Laguna had been ordered by CBS. They spent a fortune signing her away from MCA, and her albums were in declining sales. The album before the one that I did sold only 27,000 records.
Right. I mean, this is like a comeback album for her.
Right, and then she never had a hit again. And the story was she got ordered, and I didn't know this until later, and because I was managed by Lieber Krebs, who were the biggest managers in the 70s. It was all part, Ted Nugent and Victory were there, and they were really neglecting my career, but I totally respect David Krebs to this day. I wanted out of my contract with David Krebs because he wasn't doing anything for my career, and he was just sort of leaving me doing nothing and not really answering my phone calls or things like that. I threatened to sue him for mismanagement because he had really screwed me on something. And at the same time, we were friends, and I was like going, you've really fucked up my career, and you cost me doing some things and stuck me with Michael Schenker and things like that. He goes, "Well, here's this. You go away and take this Poison piece of shit away from you. I'm not going to commission that." So I could have lost 15% of Poison, my Poison royalties, because he listened to it, thought it was a piece of shit. But yeah, and that's how I ended up with Joan Jett. I never got paid on Joan, and got my songwriting royalties, but nothing more than that. But what an amazing band she had. And she's an amazing musician, totally underrated as a rhythm guitar player and as a singer too. But she's just so under the thumb of Kenny Laguna that could never be successful again. And that's the problem. If she's still out there, you got to give her props for being out there and being able to survive on those beer gigs that she does. I have friends who see her periodically. Her secret life is so strange. She is a slave to Kenny Laguna, literally. And she was not allowed to know where she lived. They would have a ounce of pot come FedEx every day, and they just kept her stoned at all times. And it was just bizarre She lived in Long Island, but didn't know where she lived. She had an affair with she and Kenny Laguna's wife would sleep together, and Kenny'd sleep on the floor, and there was all these sex things going on, and it was just bizarre. And, they didn't want people to know that she was a lesbian, but how could you not know? It was just really, really strange. But you'd write a song and, with the lyrically and all her contributions, so you had to agree to give her writing credit on everything, was she would make every song gender neutral. That was her thing. And, but she, then, the most talented person I ever met in terms of playing rhythm guitar, tightest guitar player, could double anything. Wouldn't want to hear what she did, but she would always double it perfectly, just like a machine.
Wow.
I still, to this day, can't figure out how she does that, because she'd play a track, because everything Joan does is doubled, vocals, guitar, and she'd double it, and it would be perfect every time. It's just like, what the fuck? How did she do that? To this day, I can't figure out how anybody could be that tight, and she's that person. Totally underrated. But she was so conditioned by Kenny Laguna. I mean, the funniest thing was I lived in 113th and Riverside Drive in New York, virtually Harlem at the time, before New York gentrified. And they dropped her off at my house, which was very rare that they would let her go to some place to do some writing with me and Bob Halligan were writing. Bob lived a couple of blocks up from me, or even less than that. And Bob Halligan had written for Judas Priest. And Bob's a real nice guy. So Joan goes, she's hungry. I go, well, let's go get a slice of pizza. And she goes, get? Not have it delivered? I said, no, let's go walk up the corner. There's a pizza parlor literally up at the corner, up on Broadway and 113th. It's 1 block away. And she goes, you mean you can do that? I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, you can walk up to the place. What if somebody sees us? And I felt like the movie The Producers. I go, well, then they'll see you. And she goes, but what will happen? And I go, they'll see you eating a slice of pizza. And she looked at it, and it was like Margaret Mead in Samoa. She was like, what the fuck? She was so enjoying it. Just because she was told that she was such a star that, she should never go out alone with anybody. And then she got yelled at for doing that, and I got yelled at for allowing her to do that. I was like,
by who?
What the fuck? Like her manager and producer, Kenny Laguna. He's been controlling her for 50 years. She's a musical genius himself, but he's so controlling, and he came out of Tommy James and the Shondells, and he's so controlling. And he still plays on stage with her, and he's in his 80s. He just could never let go, and he could never, we did the one album. It was a huge hit. CBS allowed him to then do another album, and they did that cover album that was a massive failure. And she's never had a hit ever since because he's controlling her, and he could never get past the certain preconceptions that he had. But she's a good performer. Thommy Price is a drummer who was from Billy Idol, who was, a monster drummer.
Sure.
Kasim Sulton from Todd Rundgren of Utopia, who was an amazing bass player, and Ric Browde, who was a really good guitar player. And, they've screwed Ricky on some money from the publishing. And when Ricky left, everything fell apart. Wheels went off. And, it was a shame. But she still, has enough charisma that she can pack a bar. They were always marketing it as Joan Jett. The promoters can sell beer, and she does.
Well, probably, yeah. I mean, she's a legend in many ways, especially.
She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, isn't she? She's in her 60s now.